Hi, and welcome back to Newbreed Film Reviews. We are here on episode 38, and we have a special guest on the podcast this evening. It's just me doing a solo review with a guest reviewer, and that would be my wife, Leanne. Go ahead and say hello.
Hello, guys.
And we actually just recently checked out 50 Shades of Grey, and we have our opinions about the movie. What we'll do is we'll go over the generalization of what our overall thoughts are, and we'll give you guys a heads up on when we're actually going to go talk about spoilers. So we don't want to ruin the movie for you if you haven't seen it, but we want to give you a general opinion, and then you can kind of check out and see what you want to do for after that. So, overall, my thought of the movie, I wasn't that impressed. There was this big humongous hype about it, and they put it out there in the media that this was going to be such a crazy over-the-top movie. And yes, there's sex scenes in there that are, they portray bondage, but I don't think anything was kind of crazy over the top. We can get into some of that a little bit later. I think that, it was tastefully done, compared to a lot of people say what the book was. What do you think, general thoughts about the movie?
Since I did read the book, I was totally disappointed, and I have to give this movie a thumbs down. The tension between the two of them was definitely not there. The characters did not have that tension between the two of them.
I agree with you. I really honestly think that when they casted these two people, they didn't do a very good job of... They should have made them hang out with each other. Don't you think? I think they should have made them actually go out on dates and actually talk
Get to know each other, yeah.
Yeah, because on film they didn't seem that they really had that much chemistry. And the whole book, correct me if I'm wrong, the whole book is designed on that, sexual tension.
You're on the edge of your seat the entire time with their tension between the two of them.
And from the book point of view, I'm not too good. Or I've never read the book before, but you got the chance to read the first book. You didn't read the other books on there. But, do you think that they did a pretty good job of at least capturing the book in the movie? At least the parts of the book in the movie?
Yes and no. I guess, I don't know, I guess reading a book, you have your own imagination, so when you see something filmed, it's a little bit different. Yes and yes, no and no. I think that they kind of went along with it, but I pictured a lot of stuff different, so.
Like you had mentioned, and we'll get into it a little bit later, you didn't see the main character as Christian Grey, right?
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. From what I've heard, at least what you've told me about 50 Shades of Grey, is that he's kind of this crazy, intimidating character and this kind of intense guy, and this guy, Jamie Dornan, I'm not sure how to say his name directly. If you look at his acting history, he doesn't really have much. I think they tried to pick him as a guy that had nothing underneath him, but he comes off to me as kind of wooden. He comes off to me as somebody that's not sexually intensive and a super impressive guy. So that's my overall thought process. What do you think of Dakota as Anastasia?
I didn't picture her at all. I've never seen her before. I didn't know who she was. I was disappointed with actually both of the characters. Of course, I had my own imagination. Again, the book gives you a lot of detail. So, when I was reading, I did put characters and different actors and actresses in my head, and they definitely weren't them. For Anastasia, I had Anne Hathaway. She'd probably be my number one that I would think of. Or Kristen Stewart. She was also another one I kind of pictured. Little details, different, but those are two of the characters that I thought of for her. Yeah,
I think that, you have a certain kind of person that has to be willing to get butt naked and get spanked. That's, you gotta get the right kind of actress for it. I don't think either one of them would be willing to do it. So
that's true.
This girl kind of stepped up to the game there. And, Christian Grey is kind of a messed up character. So it's hard. They probably just got this guy, hey, are you going to be willing to do this? If he's read the book. So, you had said there's other people that you think would have been a better Christian Grey character?
Yeah, first person that came to mind was definitely Matt Bomer, if I'm saying that correctly, from White Collar.
I think he was in talks. He was in talks initially to be the role. Remember we were talking about it?
Oh, yeah. So I think I did hear that, and that was kind of exciting for me. And then, of course he didn't get picked. Another one was Gerard Butler, from 300. I could picture him playing. He's mean and tough looking. And then, of course, Ben Affleck.
Yeah, I think Ben Affleck would have been pretty good. He's kind of got that aged look. I mean, I guess when you've told me about the character, I always, envisioned kind of like this older, experienced guy. But in the book, he's actually like a younger
Yeah, he
kid.
looks like a young, I don't know, like when I saw him, I was just like, what? This kid looks like he's like 23 years old. When I think of Christian Grey, I think of like you said, aged, experienced,
but is he
tough.
He's under 30 in the book, right?
I don't remember exactly what they said, but I think he's either like older 20s, younger 30s, but still like the way they describe him, he just looks not aged as far as like 50, but he's got a feel of being older, not, early 20s like this guy does.
Yeah. So let's switch over and we'll go into talking about kind of nitty gritties on the movie and, spoilers. So, if you want to get our overall opinion of the movie, out of a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it like a 6. That's just my overall opinion. Maybe if I was going to give it a letter grade, it'd probably be like a C. The movie's not absolutely horrible, but, I can get through it and I can watch it. It's not too bad.
I'll letter grade it and I'll say, can we do like C-?
Yeah.
To be honest, I was falling asleep. The only thing that really kept me awake was when the sex scenes were happening. I do have to say the best part of the movie, and I'm not saying because of the sexualness of it, but the sex scenes were tastefully done and they were shot beautifully. But otherwise it was just kind of like dry.
Alright, so, we're gonna switch over and talk about a couple spoilers right now. So, you got over the overall overview of the movie. So if you guys want to switch off now, we're going to kind of discuss nitty gritty spoilers of the movie. All right. So what would be like the biggest thing that you thought on the film that was different than the book? Like things that you saw that the film kind of portrayed that should have been portrayed?
When I was watching the movie, my biggest thing was the cigarette burns on his chest. I thought it was weird. I think it was like 3 sex scenes in, maybe even the 4th sex scene, or, when they saw each other naked. She never mentioned not touching him or anything about his chest. And until it got into the, like the red room, in the book, it stressed his chest in the cigarette burns, like the biggest, that was like a huge deal. And I thought it was kind of just, shoved under the rug. It wasn't as big of a deal as I thought it was.
They didn't make it a big plot point.
Yeah. And
when it was a big plot point in the book.
Right. And even when it came up in the movie, it was just kind of like
nonchalant.
Yeah. It wasn't like a big deal.
So, I don't have any things that I can reference there, but I can talk about the generalness of the film. Like we talked about before, they just had really dry interaction with each other. When they interacted with each other, even like it's supposed to have some sexual tension, like when he comes into the hardware store and he's like buying stuff.
Yes.
But it's like so dry.
It's like almost awkward. It was like I felt like it was like a forced effort to even have anything between the two of them. Right.
And he, like you would, I think I actually did read part of it. You read this on our honeymoon, and I think, you actually had me read this part, like when he goes in for the interview. Like when he talks down to her in the interview, and when you're reading it back and forth in the book, there's like some like intensity, and he just has this presence, and the guy, that acted out Christian Grey, I don't think he didn't have that presence.
Yeah, he was like dry. Like it was just like blah. I don't know. That's the only thing that I can really say. I just felt blah about his acting, his, like, the love. I don't want to say love. It is love in between them, but the sexual tension, it just wasn't there.
No. And, I mean, that's what the entire movie is based on, is the sexual tension. I did think, though, that the scene where they're actually discussing the contract was pretty good. I think when, like, they get towards the end.
Yeah, you're right. That was pretty good.
He's like, you're quenching your thighs, you know, you're biting your lip, you're getting flushed. I think that scene was the only scene in the movie that I really saw that kind of tension between the two of them.
And, like, his explanation, like, in the book, that's how it was with everything. And I know books and movies are totally different, but with every, like, interaction with the two of them, it was always describing, like, the intensity of the way she was feeling and the intensity of, like, how, like, crazy he got, and it wasn't there. I don't know, it wasn't there.
So, what'd you think about, like, the sex scenes compared to the book? Everybody said it was very tastefully done, which I think so when I watched the film. I think, I mean, you are getting whipped and she is butt naked and they're in a red room of pain.
Yeah, but if you think about it, there was only one really scene that she was getting. I mean, there was 2 scenes that had the red room of pain, right? It was only 2.
I think so. Yeah.
And there was only one with him actually whipping her, and it wasn't to the point of, like, you think you're going in there being tortured, you know, and that's what everybody that judged the book without reading or watching the movie, they're like, oh my gosh, you're watching that, you're reading that. The sex scenes were very well shot, very tastefully done. I wasn't offended or was like, oh my gosh, I actually thought they were quite beautiful. I mean, artsy-wise, what is it, cinematography-wise?
Great cinematography. There you go.
They were really well done. I mean, there wasn't a ton of stuff. The scenes that they did show, it was more of, like, her body and, like, you know, they shot the longevity of her body, and it wasn't more so, like, the penetration and, like...
It wasn't porn.
Yeah, exactly.
Like porn.
And everybody, like, made it seem like that's what it was gonna be like. And I think even the sex scenes in the book, they were intense, but the movie did do a good job with the sex scenes, even though, of course, without being porn, they did it well. I think they did it as best as they could without making it porn, basically.
That's true. How about the scene at the end where, like, she says, like, you know, give me your worst, and then he takes a belt and he's, like, whipping her, like, to the extreme, you know, and he's, like, a sadistic motherfucker, like, just, like, you can see, like, he has that's the first time that it breaks through in the entire movie that he has, like, happiness to him.
Yeah, it was like...
And he has this sick happiness as he's, like, whipping her with the belt.
That's who he is. That's his character. I mean, that's personally not my flavor, but that's who Christian Grey was, so, I mean, it all makes sense.
That's the appeal, though. I think, and every single female, like, you guys love to be able to fix males. So she's going into this saying, like, oh, he's broken. I want to fix him. And I think that's what Anastasia wants to do, but he's severely broken. You know, like he says...
I don't know. She might have him.
He says one of the lines in the movie is, I'm 50 shades of fucked up. And I think I'd have to agree with that.
Yes. He's definitely fucked up.
So, you think we covered it pretty well?
Yeah, the only other thing I wanted to say is, because I've been putting down the movie, the sex scenes were good, but the only thing that got me to laugh was the scene where she was in, I think it was a hotel room or in his bed, and he cooked her breakfast, I can't remember, but she was eating toast, and he, like, rolled on the bed and, like, took a bite of her toast. And he, like, thought it was, like, sexual, and it was, like, corny as ever. The scene was just, like, not supposed to be there. It was awkward. It was weird.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you on that scene.
I don't know. It was just, like, out of place. It didn't fit.
He was trying to be, like, all, like, sexual and, like...
with his big bite of toast.
Yeah, and, like, bite toast. And, like, that was supposed to get her up and running, you know? I guess he's got a weird way of turning people on, too.
Well, I guess so.
So, Christian Grey is officially messed up. But there's a new book coming out, right? From Grey's point of view?
Yes. And I didn't read all of the books, which I probably should go back and read them since there's going to be other movies coming out. And I do want to watch the next movie just to see how it is.
I did hear, though, that the guy's wife, what's his name? Jamie Doran, his wife doesn't want him to go back to do with the other ones.
I don't blame her. I certainly wouldn't want you to be that actor, but...
Yeah. I mean, she's got to know she didn't read the books before he signed up for the job.
I bet she did.
She was just looking at the paycheck, I guess.
Yes.
Alright, so, would you recommend it?
For somebody that read the book, probably not, because honestly, your imagination through a book is so much better than the movie.
So keep it as a book.
Keep it as a book, yeah, definitely.
But you'll still watch the movies if they come out.
Yeah.
That's like I don't care whatever Fast and the Furious movie that they do, I'm still gonna go see it.
Maybe.
So, I have the same opinion too. I won't pick the movie up again, and probably if I was flipping around on TV, which I don't think it would ever be on TV, but if it like popped on as a TV movie, I'd probably skip it. It definitely wasn't my flavor in the first place, and, it definitely didn't, really grasp my attention or really, get to the top of my list as a film that I really wanted to see this year. So I think that about wraps it up. Thank you for my wife, Leanne, being a special guest on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And, we have a couple other episodes that we always do on Sunday night, so you'll catch all the new uploads on Monday, and you can catch us on Facebook at Newbreed Film Reviews, and you can also catch us on our email at Gmail, newbreedfilmreviews2014@gmail.com. Paul runs the Twitter at newbreedfilm, and we are on Podomatic, iTunes, and, anywhere else that kind of hosts, podcasts. So check us out, drop us a line. If you really like the 50 Shades of Grey and you want to prove us wrong, then just send us a message. Alright. See you guys later.